Hello, my dear Franken friends, and welcome to Spookyou, your one-stop shop for all things ghastly and ghoulish. I'm your host, Barnabas Vixen, and my, do we have a tasty assortment of tantalizing tales for you today. Handpicked by our very own Weavers of Woe. Guaranteed to send a chill down your spine, or your money back, so it's non-refundable. But enough teasing, because you're here for the stories, aren't you? Well, without further ado, allow me to pass the reins on over to our vivacious voiceover virtuoso, Trey Falco, for the first of tonight's spooky stories. And I'll be seeing you real soon. That is, if this doesn't spook your eyeballs out first.
I'm one of those people that think about the most awful scenarios that could happen at any time, whether it's at a restaurant or at a movie theater. You know, like a man walks in with a gun, or a man comes toward me and kidnaps me. Yeah, I'm abnormal, but think about it. How many times have you walked by a person and made eye contact with them, but not kind and flirty, more like eerie and unnerving? Like they were looking at you before you saw them. Or they stared at you a little too hard. I mean, what if this person had been a serial killer? Apparently you walk by a psychopath at least once each day. What if, when you felt like you were being watched, you were? By a person who has been searching for the right one for a long time. The one person who wishes to hold the fate of your life in their hands. The uncontrollable lust to kill. Just think about that. And what if instead of a person wanting you, you walk by a person that already has someone? Some little girl crying all alone in the basement, having to worry about when the bad man is going to return. The one you just walked by. The one who looks a little too calm and happy. Maybe, just maybe, you know one. Or could be best friends with a psycho. You claim to know everything about each other, but do you really? You aren't with them constantly. You have to close your eyes sometimes. That's one of the reasons I can't deal with sleepovers. Most think, oh, they'll draw on me, but what I think is that they're recording me, just watching me as I stir in my sleep. I can't be the only one. Anyway, chances are that you know an insane person or a perfectly sane person with a killer habit. Or that you've seen or perhaps read something from someone who could be watching you right now. You're at work alone when you suddenly hear the copy machine start up. You walk out to take a look at what's going on and see several copies filling the tray. Picking up one of the pieces of paper, you discover that it's a copy of a picture depicting you sitting in your office chair, dead, with your eyes torn out and your throat cut. The others are the same picture, but taken from increasingly bizarre angles. There is no original picture in the copy machine. In fact, the machine has been out of toner for a week.
What a delectable morsel of a story. Something short and sinister to get that blood flowing. Hopefully that'll hold you over while we talk about one of our sponsors, Big Frank's Body Shop. Frank is a frequent listener of Spookyou and has immeasurable knowledge when it comes to your body. Yes, you. Yours specifically. Every nook and cranny, every wrinkle and pore. Your very own biological mechanic. He has arms for when yours inevitably give out, various hearts and lungs to postpone that final breath, And right now, when you enter the coupon code SPOOKALICIOUS at checkout, you'll receive 10% off your first purchase of $2,500 or more. Just enter SPOOKALICIOUS at checkout for 10% off your first purchase of $2,500 or more. What a frighteningly good deal. That's Big Frank's Body Shop. Because who could ever know more about your delicate body than old Frank here? Nobody. Not even you. Up next, we got a story so scary, you may just want to go ahead and mute your speakers now. It's okay, we don't judge around here. Okay, Frank judges a little, but it's warranted and you know it.
About 11 years ago, I used to live in a small house that neighbored a cemetery. I was only 12 at the time, so this arrangement was slightly unnerving. Particularly so when I began to stay up late during the summer when school was out. If I looked into the graveyard at around 3 in the morning, I could see shadows moving. For a long time, I didn't know what they were or what they wanted. But I eventually took to calling them the graveyard people. The graveyard people had a little ritual they would do. They would always go to a grave, and this was a different grave every night, grab something, and then run back into the mausoleum that sat in the center of the cemetery. For a few months, I would stay up just to watch them. After all, they only stayed in the cemetery, and they never seemed to notice me watching through the blinds. I'd always been careful to darken my room when watching them, so that I didn't leave my silhouette showing in the window. However, in early August of that year, I had a nightmare. I can't remember what it was now, but it made me utterly afraid to have a light off that night. And despite this, I wanted a last look at the graveyard people before school forced me to sleep well before they awoke for their strange ritual. So, I pressed my luck. I slipped my head up to the window, and a scream caught in my throat. One of the graveyard people was at my window, staring at me with its gray, hound-like face. And it stared, perfectly still, with a half-eaten and half-rotted limb in one hand. I was frozen as it snorted hot breath onto the window, making a fog on the glass. And then it took a long finger and wrote on the glass, "You should be sleeping." For years afterward, I refused to stay up late, and if I did, I at least pretended to be asleep. I've moved several times in the years since, always for different reasons, nothing supernatural, mind you. And my moves have brought me full circle. I'm in college now, and live across from a cemetery once more. And occasionally, if I'm up late enough and dare look out my window, I can make out the shadows of the graveyard people. Wonder if they ever look back to see if I'm watching.
Oh, you're still here. I was certain you had died or fled in absolute terror at the first syllable after my brilliant intro. My apologies. I wasn't really expecting anyone to actually make it this far. Nevertheless, if you enjoyed what you've heard this evening, then make sure you leave a like on this video and strike that subscribe button. Go on, bury it. Give it all you've got. It is how we keep the lights on in this place and feed the feral werecats that have made their home in the former manager's chest cavity. And now, it is with a heavy heart that I regret to inform you that it is time for us to depart. But don't despair. I can already hear your incessant weeping. I'll be here every Tuesday and Thursday to bring you more bone-chilling and soul-shivering stories to whet that insatiable appetite of yours. Now go forth, my ghastly gang, and stay spooky.